We are talking this morning about food intolerance. Around about 45% of us claim to or do suffer some kind of food intolerance, apparently, but we need to find out more. Trisha, you're a nutritionalist and you've come all the way from Devon to join us here in Manchester this morning, so thank you so much for that. Let's talk about, first of all, the difference between an intolerance and an allergy, because they are two different things when it comes to food, aren't they?
Yeah, that's correct. You'll often hear people say, well, I've got an allergy to something. It could be environmental as well as food. And what happens is the body will react, in a person who's hypersensitive, the body will react in a certain way, causing perhaps lip swelling, throat feeling like it's closing over, itching, eyes and sneezing, wheezing. So
we hear commonly about people having peanut allergies, for instance, and that's quite a traumatic reaction, isn't it? That the body will take. So that is an allergy. But you work with on food intolerances, don't you? Really, explain the main kinds of intolerances that you encounter as a nutritionalist.
Well, if you're talking about food intolerances, they can be typically wheat. It could be sugar, it could be anything from fruit to vegetables, because once the gut has become compromised, you'll get a food intolerance to many things. So it's much deeper than saying, oh well, I'll remove wheat from the diet or apples from the diet or tomatoes, whatever it might be. There are many things that people have kept removing from their diets because they think it's the answer to the problem. It's not.
So even as myself, and we were talking before the programme, and I know a lot of our viewers will know that I cut out gluten in my diet around about 18 months ago, and I felt that made an enormous difference. But maybe even I'm going down the wrong street in terms of that as well.
No, you're not going down the wrong street. You're certainly going down the right street, but there are many more facets to it than just cutting out the gluten. Gluten's a really important one to cut out of the diet if you suffer from bloated stomach or spacey head, lack of concentration, depression, just feeling really out of sorts. And you'll find, obviously, gluten is in bread. Most people eat far too much bread. Yeah. But also amongst the bread is yeast. People forget that is an important part to remove from the diet, because we have something called Candida, which is one of the normal bacteria that live in our bowel. Yeah. And it feeds from sugar and yeast. So if it's allowed to grow and proliferate like one of the bad guys, the bad bacteria, it will grow through the system. It will cause leaky gut syndrome, and then you will not be able to process your foods properly. You get an immune response, which is why people say, I can't eat this and I can't eat that. It's because the immune system kicks in, because it's seeing all these sort of invaders
and it's battling against that.
Exactly.
Does that mean then, in that case, that we're always told about these little tiny drinks and things that we can take every day, which claim to be good bacteria? Is that necessarily a good thing then, or are we kind of putting one thing on top of another in doing that? Well,
if you're getting the little pots from the supermarket, there's sugar in them. Okay. Candida loves sugar as well. Okay. So whilst there may be some good bacteria in there, the sort of the idea of it, you need to get a real probiotic, which will contain millions of good bacteria. That is the only way to get your good bacteria.
Fantastic. I love you. You make all this so simple. And of course, you've produced 4 books as well, which actually are all aimed at different people, aren't they? Tell us a little bit about the books that you've written.
Well, I've written 4 books because they're aimed at man, woman, child, and the cookbook supports them all. Okay. So I've written Healthy Tart for the ladies, because ladies look at things in a different way than men. So the book is designed with them for a 10-step program towards real good health and vitality. It contains a 30-day program where we're cutting out all of the yeast, the sugar, the dairy, the wheat, everything that will cause the body to be toxic, and not be able to heal. The body can only heal properly when it's in an alkaline environment.
Okay.
The healthy dude is for the guys.
Now this is great because I mean, and there wouldn't be many people that would think of doing something like this, but men are famously where we're just rubbish at paying attention to our health and our bodies, aren't we? So a book specifically aimed at the fellas. So how is it different for the fellas? How do you tackle them, so to speak?
The principles are exactly the same, but it's written differently because I think men like to pick up and read a book, take what they need from it at that time. It has got the 30-day program in there, the same as the ladies, but the way I've explained, you know, how to get help, you know, all the different things that matter to, obviously the different conditions men get as well, you know, all the prostate and all the other things, the nice things they get. So it's actually a pick up and go book. You pick it up, you can read what you want from it. So if you wanted to know about gluten intolerance, or if you wanted to know about acupuncture to help you, then it's there ready just to read just that bit when you need to. Or you know, if you want to read the whole book, that's great too.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, actually just looking at one of the chapters here, tough questions and their answers preventing life-threatening diseases. I mean, you just make it so simple, don't you? It's really, I mean, men do need things in very, very easy bite-sized chunks, don't they?
Yes,
and this is
do.
perfect for that. It really is. You've also got Healthy Idle as well, which again is, I think it's another great idea because again, teenagers, you need to be very, very careful with teenagers as well, don't you? Because they are impressionable. They do tend to look at the magazine images and tend to go on, you know, faddy diets and things like this. And actually you've tackled it really responsibly, haven't you, with Healthy Idle?
I have, because there's no 30-day program in there, there's no diet program. It's about eating well, getting fit and avoiding all the excesses of, you know, the drink, the drugs and the rock and roll, really. So there's nothing faddy in there, and it would be a great read for the parents as well, because they would understand how to work with their children.
And you've got the Healthy Bunch cookbook as well, which kind of brings all of those ideas together. And I think the great thing about the cookbook is it's actually a vegan cookbook as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And again, it's to support what I'm trying to achieve with people. Most people are toxic.
Yes.
And whether they're gluten intolerant or whatever, they're mostly toxic because of their poor lifestyle, poor diet. So the Healthy Bunch cookbook is there to support people throughout their programs, but also for anyone who wants a vegan cookbook. It's
Fantastic.
Just pure recipes and very simple.
So they're all available from your website,
They
which
are.
is trishastewart.com. I'll put all of the details on our blog on the website as well at shine-tv.co.uk. But Trisha, you also offer, I mean, you're a practicing clinician anyway, you're a nutritionist, but you also have a retreat available, don't you, down in beautiful Devon in the southwest. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, the retreat is for people who'd like to come and stay on a residential, maybe for a couple of days, maybe 4 days, maybe for 6 days, or even longer. It depends what they need to come for.
And what can you offer them?
If it's a 2-day retreat, it's usually a very educational one, because there's nothing, you can't detox in 2 days despite what anyone says.
Yeah.
So you come along and you learn about yourself. You have a health screening with me first of all, which is a major part of...
So a one-on-one consultation
Yes.
to really find out about you and,
Yes.
and maybe what symptoms you display and how diet could be affecting those. Because we're talking about things like not just how you feel necessarily, but how you sleep, for instance. Your diet can affect that as well.
Absolutely, because if your body is not processing, the digestive system for me is king. If your body's not processing properly, you'll be kept awake all night by, you know, the problems that it's going through. Where it should be resting at night, it's overactive at night because of what you've been eating, or perhaps not been eating. You know, it's...
Yeah, so
one of those.
cutting things out, but also eating things that you may not be comfortable with or may not be familiar with. I mean, often it's something we pick up from our parents, our eating habits we pick up from our parents, and we can kind of pick up their bad habits. And of course, now it's so much easier to eat healthier, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and particularly when you've got such easy to follow books. You've got great farmers markets now, you know, over and above the supermarkets. There's much more available in the organic ranges for people. There is a myriad of advice on TV, on radio, in the newspapers, so people can get confused. So for anyone who really needs some real help, it's best to see someone like myself, pick up one of my books, go to the website and become informed, because it is there for you.
Absolutely. Trisha, we're almost out of time. As always happens with these things, I could talk about this for hours. Your 4 books are available from your website. That's Healthy Tart, that's aimed at the ladies. There's Healthy Idol for the teenagers. There's the Healthy Bunch cookbook, which is a vegan cookbook. And the Healthy Dude, I mean, this really does appeal to me. I intend to take a good look at that one, definitely, because it's fantastic. Trisha, people can find out more from your website, trishastewart.com. And it sounds lovely. The idea of a couple of days in retreat down in deepest Devon, having everything kind of, rebalanced, sounds lovely. Trisha, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
Bless you, thank you. And more details on Trisha's books and more details about the retreat, I will make sure are on our blog, on our website as well, which is shine-tv.co.uk. So if you'd like any further advice, you can get hold of Trisha's books there as well. Now,